Well, everybody, I got to tell you, I have guests on my show for the last 2 years that I adore, but this gentleman, as many of you know so well, is back. Eric Scott, so good to see you again.
Man, it's great to see you, Steve. Great to
Wow,
see everyone.
it really is, and there's a couple of reasons why it's so good to reunite with Eric, you guys. One being, we are both involved on July 10th with the Cancer Can Rock Nova Music Fest, which is somebody that Eric goes way back with, Jim Ebert, who I have done now, Eric, 5 shows on Living on Music with him and guests, his amazing participants in his Cancer Can Rock thing. We are going to be together at that event. People like you, though, are so involved as a session musician with Jim. In a nutshell, your feeling about Cancer Can Rock.
Every time I am called to do one, I'm humbled and I'm honored to be there. I really am. The experience, dealing with obviously someone who is dealing with cancer. Right. 9 times out of 10, a lot of times it's someone who's never written a song before, and they're encouraged to talk about their journey, in this song. So it's pretty amazing to be in at the ground floor, with somebody who's writing about their experience with cancer, and to be there to form the song. And every time it's done, the client, we'll call them, but they're just blown away by what's happened. And I leave there every time just floating, like wow, man, I'm just so glad I was a part of that.
Well, Eric, that's such a wonderful sentiment to say. I will say to you that most of if not all of the guests you have played with, that I have interviewed on Living on Music, and you have been part of it, have been so revering of you and of all of the guys that have played behind them. So again, what a great experience that is. I'll be emceeing the show and talking a little bit about some of those people that have been involved. Jenny Langer, obviously, as well. And a number of people that have done it. And I'll be talking a little bit about it, but that's going to be a wonderful thing. You, my friend, over the last 2.5 years, our show together was a year ago, 2 years ago on June 1st. And that's when things had already begun. I know for you in a personal way, obviously, but also musically. Yet, I believe it was Christmas Eve or around Christmas Eve in 2020 when Peace Bomb was released.
Man, your memory is airtight, brother. That's exactly the date that it was released.
Well, what a day to release a record too, and what a joy this has to have been, Eric, because of the reception of it, the critical acclaim, the way it just sounds and is. And I told you before the show, and I've told you before that the Build Me a Castle is, I think, part of my brain now. It is injected inside of me. But again, you must have felt wonderful to at least get through the beginning of the pandemic, get through some personal loss, and also put out this record. It must be joyful, though.
Yeah, it was quite a time. I mean, I not to mention the effort that I put into that record. Yes. 3 years it took to build that record. Oh. And once it was done, worldwide pandemic appears, and I couldn't release it. I kind of had to sit on it for a while.
Yes.
And during that time, as we mentioned, I had a lot of personal issues. I lost my father.
Yes.
To COVID during that time. So I was just kind of figuring out, how do I release this record? What's the best way to go about it? Even at that time, not knowing what the landscape of professional music was going to look like,
Right.
It was still a bit unclear.
Right.
But I just finally decided, let's just go ahead and do it. And Christmas Eve seems like as good a time as any. It could be a gift, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's what I did, and we went out and did some playing behind it, and yeah, man. I mean, the record it was well received. We actually got some love in the UK.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to mention next.
Yeah.
Again, you're kind of knocked down like so many, like every guest I've had for the last 2 years on the show, let alone the millions of musicians worldwide. Everybody was knocked down for not being able to promote music or play it. But you had some wonderful moments of things that happened. The thing with the UK soul charts had to be wonderful. It reached number 13 on what had to be one of the best charts in the world. That had to be a wonderful thing to have happen. Did you expect that to happen in the UK?
No, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. And, was very surprised that it ended up on the charts over there.
Right.
It's pretty wild when it reached its peak at 13. I mean,
Right.
it's pretty incredible to look on a chart and see you're on there with Ronald Isley and the Isley Brothers and Snoop Dogg, and it's just like, wow, man.
Well, and that's what I've thought since the beginning, since the first day that I heard that record. And I don't know whether you sent it to me prior for some reason or somehow I had it. And I remember thinking the soul of it and the paying homage in some ways, subtle ways, to the years of soul and R&B back in the day. To me it exuded that, and it also of course exuded you and the newness of it. It is, I mean, in March of this year, right? Reach Out for Me was on the Grand Crew, the NBC show. That had to be another fun thing, right?
Yeah, that was again unexpected, but these are gifts, these are blessings, I call them. But yeah, that was a trip. I wasn't very familiar with that show, and of course, it ended up appearing on the show, and I didn't even know it. And then I found out 3 weeks later. I'm like, what? So I went back and I watched the show, and it's actually a very funny show, and the way they used it was pretty cool. So yeah,
great.
Just a blessing, just a blessing.
It is, and I know when that happens, it's a wonderful bonus in life. I know Jason Massey, when he was on talking about Young and the Restless and getting put on, and he didn't even know about it. They were like, so they told him, and it's just wonderful to have your music extended into that level as well. Again, what has been wonderful for you, Eric, and I've noticed it in spades over the last number of months, is back on out and playing. And I know that's been pretty interesting. I went and saw Steely Dan on Sunday night at Wolf Trap, and it was completely packed in every way, shape, and form. And so people are, in a sense, saying, I'm back. And if I'm vaxxed and I get it, it's not, I just got through COVID, Eric. I will tell you, over the last 10 days, I am feeling wonderful. It wasn't a terrible way, but we had it in our house and got through it. How do you feel back out playing? And, again, not just with COVID hanging around a little bit, but also just feeling good about getting out and playing, because that is part of you.
Man, I mean, why do we create music and put our heart and soul into music if we can't get out there and play it?
Exactly.
In the energy of folks that are listening. And I mean, that's a huge reason why we do it,
Right.
And I'm pretty surprised at how much live music has come back. It's come back with a vengeance, man.
Yes.
It really has.
Right.
I'm as busy now as I have ever been in my
Right.
professional career. I mean, hands down. And there's a lot of factors involved in that. I mean, things were obviously put on hold during COVID, and things had to be rescheduled. So when things came back, it was like, boom, all these things that were rescheduled, filled up the calendar. And chomping at the bit to have music. So next thing you know, you're as busy as you could be.
And people wanting to see you. And I'm telling you, I think that's a huge part of it, is that your reputation, despite a 2-year hiatus of sorts, Peace Bomb has elevated it to me in a lot of ways, because I know that a lot of people that we both respect and revere around this region and beyond it, but around the region have felt that it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing you've done. And I think it was, when we had talked in 2020, we had talked about albums coming out and songwriting you were doing and hoping you could, it would get out there. And even though you got hit hard, I think, man, you created an absolute treasure. And I congratulate you on Peace Bomb. Your gigs coming up. Now we've got July 10th, which will be fun. And there are more than these, but you've got a couple in Rehoboth, the end of July. Anything else in July, or are you jumping into the end of July and then going forth?
Well, just happen to have the old schedule right here.
That's what I want.
I still use a book, man, where I write all my gigs down. I'll be pretty much local, playing all over the area, really.
Good.
But we do have two shows in Rehoboth, the
Fun.
29th at Thompson Island and the 30th at Blue Coast. And I'm going to use that week as kind of my little vacation, really. And quite frankly, I've deserved it. I've earned it. And then
Good.
there's the August 6th show
Yes.
at the Warner Theater, which, good grief, the WHFS.
Oh, and how many times has that been postponed? Poor Ronnie and Chuck
Yeah.
and Dave and Danny and everybody. I am so excited to see that back. I know the Linda Ronstadt show at Barnes was really well received, as every show that you and I, that's where I first met you, as part of as part of the Bowie and then the Elvis Costello things. It's really good though, I know, Eric, to see Ronnie and to see Bandhouse and Newmeyer Flyer back out there, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Their productions are first rate. Anytime I'm invited to do one, I everything else, I'm like, I'm there.
Right. Well, and an
So
established
yeah, I'm always, and of course, I mean,
an established musician like you doing it. I was a midlife cover band guy, and to be picked, I was like, it is the experience of a lifetime on so many people's different levels. And I know the HFS show should be wonderful. That's going to be, what's the gist of that show?
they are revisiting the early years of WHFS. To me, when I think HFS, I think, the 80s, Echo and the Bunnymen, and then
Right.
kind of that whole thing that they did. But what's interesting about this is they're concentrating on the early free-form radio portion of WHFS, when they played stuff that was off the grid,
Yes.
early Bruce Springsteen, Boz Scaggs, just bands you never even heard of.
Right.
A couple of
REM.
the tunes that I'm doing are some, when Ronnie sent them to me, I was like, wow, this is very interesting, because these aren't hits per se, but they're established artists. I don't want to let too much of the cat out of the bag.
I know. Damn. I was like, I know you don't want to be a spoiler here.
Yeah.
And maybe a hint at one.
A hint in one. Well, one is by a solo artist who had many hit songs in the 70s and 80s from San Francisco. I'll say
Okay, that's fine. And people can actually send me private messages to see if they got it. But that is going to be wonderful. It's back at the Warner as well, which I know, again, a number of people that the Sidleys were supposed to do a launch at the Warner, and they got cut off. I mean, it's been a nightmare, and it's so great to see you back. Tuesday, September 6th, my friend, you will be here. And that's what this is behind me. Marian's Jazz Room in Bern, Switzerland.
Oh, that's what
and I flew out to Switzerland so I could sit in the room, and here I am. It's pretty unbelievable. And I'm just going to wait till September till you get here. Now, wait, you got to tell us, Eric, what is behind this? I know it's with Deanna Bogart, which is, again, one of your longtime people. And this is going to be incredible to be playing in Switzerland. How did this gig come about?
Well, Deanna's like my musical sister.
Right.
My sister, period. I mean, I've been playing with her since the mid 90s.
Yes. Amazing.
She's amazing. She is. I mean, she's still obviously touring a lot on her own still. She does some things with Tommy Castro. But this show came up where she got offered to do a week, and evidently this is a jazz club of some renown.
It sure is. Yes,
yeah, so like people like the biggies play there.
Yes,
so she got offered to do a week there. So I'm like, well, of course I can do it. I mean, so I'm looking at my schedule now. It's September 6th through the 12th. We're doing a whole week there. It's in Bern, Switzerland, a city I've never been in. I've played a bunch in Switzerland, but never there. So
a whole week.
My first chance to see that room.
Oh, a whole. Yeah, there you go. Hey. I was like, well, there's, it's pretty close to what it's going to look like, other than the instruments. It'll be close, but it is so exciting to see that for you, my friend. I've been to Switzerland. God, it was about 30 years ago, in Austria and Germany, and one of my only trips to Europe, and it is pretty sensational, especially with the Alps nearby. And the Marian's Jazz Room, as you just said, I was reading up on it. It's literally says it's gained a reputation as being one of the best jazz clubs in the world. And I'm like, well, Eric Scott certainly deserves to play there, because he is one of the best. And it presents these, it's warm ambience and reasonable prices. So I'm like, there you go. There's your place. But that sounds amazing. And then you're going to play in September, and then you're also playing in West Grove, PA at the Ponderosa Barn. And that's got to be a fun gig too, up at Ponderosa.
Man, let me tell you it's a very interesting and unique concept that they have. It's basically like it's a music club, but it's not private. Anybody is welcome to attend. It's in the beautiful countryside in West Grove, PA, not an hour or so outside of Philly. The hosts and hostess are fantastic. They do it completely top shelf. And you go in there and you put on a concert, and it's just amazing, man. We did it once earlier this year. Thankfully, they asked us back. So we're looking forward to going back there, and anyone's welcome to come. So September 30th.
No, it sounds wonderful. And again, Eric, it's just wonderful to see you back out and just churning along live again. And that is so warms my heart after talking to all you guys for so long and seeing everybody trying to, again, get back out and go. We have July 10th together again. I can't wait. And you have your trio with
the incredible Darren Blessman on the drums, and the equally incredible Dan Leonard on the guitar.
Yes.
I'm so lucky I get to play with those guys. I did want to mention, I'm very much looking forward to that. Jim Ebert, very, very good friend of mine, who also, as I don't know if most folks know this, but Cancer Can Rock came from a place because Jim is a cancer survivor, and he wanted to do some, wonderful things for folks with cancer. And long story short, he wrote a song about his journey. He co-wrote it with a incredible songwriter, local songwriter by the name of Todd Wright.
Yes.
Yeah. He asked me to sing a new version of it, which I did about 6 weeks ago. And I have to say, man, it really came out well. And I'm pretty sure we're going to perform that song on July 10th. Yeah. So that was my surprise.
Yes, that is a golden surprise in so many ways, Eric. Let alone hearing you do a new song is enough, but to have it tied to Jim Ebert, who again, as many of you know who've seen him on Living on Music, and of course who know his reputation, he did survive cancer himself, and it has been an incredible ride, and we'll talk a lot about it, Eric, on that day as well. I know Marianne Redmond has joined the new lineup, and she's going to be playing with your guys too, and that's going to be incredible. We'll be we already interviewed Juliette Lloyd, who is playing my band, The Greek and the Freak. Who knew, is playing the first set. And to be able to play first and do our little thing and then see some of the most incredible musicians this region to me has ever had, and one of them's right here with me, to be able to see you guys that day is going to be an incredible day. I can't wait for that event. Let's hope for good weather, because that's always the outside thing. But we will celebrate that day together. I talk a little bit about, are you back kind of songwriting again, and will we see something out there in the next couple of years?
You definitely will. The muse is nudging me now. It's time to start doing some writing. I am working on a little bit of a soundtrack for an independent film focusing on POWs and MIAs from Vietnam. And I've been asked to procure some music for that. So I'm just very, very excited. That's my immediate writing project. But I'm definitely, I've got some ideas in the cooker, and they'll be seeing light. Also, I have we recorded a live record at the Soundry, which is a beautiful room. And there's, I just heard that it's coming back, but that's a whole other story. But we did a whole live record there that I've never released, and very soon I'm going to start releasing tracks on that. Yeah, so it'll be the first live tracks that I've ever released. So that's for that.
Fabulous news. And again, everybody, ericscottmusic.com. I think Eric, right, is the place to find what you're doing, what you've been doing, what you're going to do, the new stuff, your entire canon of history. But look, man, you made my day and my week and month just being able to talk to you a little bit. July 10th, we'll all be running around and you'll be going on. I remember a couple of people at gigs after the gig last year. They were like, we got to run off to another gig. And that's you guys. You guys are churning along. But congratulations on Peace Bomb, on your live world is back. And also what sounds like some wonderful things coming up, Eric.
Man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm able to play music and do what I love. And
Yes.
Grateful to be back out playing, man. And I'm always, anytime you want to come on and chat with me, man, I'm wide open. I'm there for you.
Well, thank you. It's been 2 years of bliss for me with Living on Music, and we're still going. And I'll be doing a live hit, which I'm trying to do more of, doing some live hits from places like Hank Diedel's Tavern, which the Greek and the Freak are. We're playing there on July 7th. So who knew? I interviewed Gina, your wonderful Gina, who you know so well.
Oh, yeah.
And I interviewed her about Diedel's, and so I'm going to play up there with the Greek and the Freak. But anyway, here's to you. July 10th, we get to hook up. I get to give you a hug. We won't be too panicked about the way things are. I'll be clean by then, and hopefully we all will be. But it'll be great to see you, and best of luck with everything coming forward, man.
Thanks so much, Steve. I look forward to hearing you, man, on the 10th. And,
yeah, thanks very much. We'll see you then.
Hugs for everyone. Hugs for everyone.
You bet. We'll see you on July 10th, and everybody. Eric Scott Music. Go find this brilliant guy. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Steve.